The silence before the storm. For centuries, the Galactic Council had enforced its will across the known universe, believing itself the supreme authority among the stars. It governed with an iron grip, dictating which species could advance, which could expand, and which were to remain under control. Humanity had been one such species, ambitious, intelligent, yet ultimately insignificant in the grand cosmic order. At least that was what the Council believed. The official records painted humanity as a minor race that had developed space travel only a few millennia ago. They were clever, yes. Persistent, undoubtedly. But ultimately they were a race of traders and explorers, not conquerors. They had no ancient empire, no lost fleets of war, and no hidden weapons of mass destruction. But history, as the saying goes, is written by the victors. When the Galactic Council sentenced a human child, Celine Carter, daughter of Earth's highest diplomat, to death under fabricated charges of espionage, they did so with the expectation that humanity would rage, protest, and perhaps cut off trade agreements. They expected angry speeches and diplomatic maneuvering, but nothing beyond that. Humanity, after all, had no military to rival the Council's. They had no means of striking back. So the Council executed the child. And then, nothing. For 6 days Earth was silent. No diplomatic outcry. No threats. No response. Even the human ambassador who had once been a fixture in the Grand Assembly had vanished. It was as though the entire planet had simply stopped. On the 7th day the silence was broken. Across every Council-linked comm channel, across every secure government network, across every starship under their dominion, a single transmission played. We have voted. The seal is broken. The old fleet wakes. Chapter 1, The Unraveling Lies. Admiral Vorelen of the Galactic Council fleet sat frozen in her command chair, staring at the words displayed on her holoscreen. The message had been brief, but its implications sent a chill down her spine. She turned toward her intelligence officer, a reptilian Zorvan with bioluminescent eyes. "What in the void does that mean?" she demanded. The officer swallowed nervously. "Admiral, we don't know. But there's something else." Right before that message was transmitted, a series of deep space signals were sent from Earth. "We're tracking them now, and—" He hesitated. "And what?" The officer's voice was almost a whisper. "They're being received, in places that don't exist on any star maps." Vorelen's blood ran cold. Chapter 2, The Awakening. Beneath the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, something ancient stirred. Deep within a hidden vault, machines that had not activated in millennia came to life. Steel groaned as colossal doors, untouched by time, slid open to reveal a warship unlike anything the modern galaxy had ever seen. It was black as the void, its surface shimmering with energy as power surged through its long-dormant systems. Its name was ISS Retribution, and it was only the first. From the depths of the oceans, from long-abandoned asteroid bases, from forgotten colonies hidden in nebulae, the old fleet began to rise. These were not the ships of a young, fragile species. These were warships of the Sol Dominion, the empire that had once ruled the stars before the Council had rewritten history. Ships that had been sealed away, awaiting a moment just like this. Chapter 3, The Truth Buried in Time. The galaxy did not know the real history of humanity. 10,000 years ago, before the Council had even been formed, the Sol Dominion had stood as the undisputed rulers of the stars. Their ships were unstoppable, their technology bordering on godlike. But they had not been benevolent rulers. They had been conquerors, demanding tribute from weaker species and crushing any who defied them. Fearing extinction, the early civilizations of the galaxy united against them, waging the largest war the universe had ever seen. The cost had been astronomical, but in the end, the Sol Dominion had fallen, or so the Council believed. In truth, Earth had not been destroyed. Instead, the last survivors of the Sol Dominion had enacted the Seal Protocol, a desperate measure that had locked away their most powerful fleets, scattered across the galaxy in hidden vaults. The plan had been simple. If humanity ever needed to rise again, if they were ever threatened to the point of extinction, the seal would break. Now, after millennia of peace, after centuries of believing humanity had become soft and weak, the Council had made a fatal mistake. They had woken the sleeping giants. Chapter 4, The Return of the Warborn. On the bridge of the ISS Retribution, Admiral Elias Voss stood in silence as the final system checks completed. The ship's AI, an ancient construct with memories of wars fought before recorded history, spoke in a cold, mechanical voice. Fleet restoration at 32%. Weapons systems online. Awaiting final command. Voss closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the faces of those lost. the lies that had been told, the innocent blood spilled. Then he opened them, his voice unwavering. Transmit the final message. Across the stars, every council world, every military outpost, every fleet received the same chilling declaration. We are the sole Dominion reborn. And we remember. Then the Retribution fired its first shot in 10,000 years, and the war to reclaim the stars began. The lies written in stars ***. In the vast darkness of the cosmos, history was not merely forgotten, it was erased. The Galactic Council, an institution revered as the ultimate authority among the known civilizations, held dominion over countless worlds. Its members, an alliance of advanced races, had stood for millennia as the architects of galactic peace. They dictated the laws of space, determined the rise and fall of species, and ensured that no single civilization could challenge their rule. Among the many races under the Council's governance, humanity had been categorized as a recent addition to the galactic stage, a fledgling species that had only just begun exploring the stars. According to official records, Earth had first developed hyperdrive technology a mere few thousand years ago, and their expansion beyond their home system was slow, their influence minimal. The records lied. The silent shadows of Sol ***. Thousands of years before the Council's golden age, before the alliance of races came together to form a so-called utopia, another force ruled the stars. The Sol Dominion. Unlike the scattered and cooperative nature of the Council's member states, the Dominion had been a unified force. From the heart of the Sol system, its fleets expanded, conquering, assimilating, and absorbing every world in their path. Their warships were said to be invincible, their technology centuries, perhaps millennia, beyond anything their enemies possessed. Their rule was absolute, and the rest of the galaxy feared them. But the Dominion's reign did not last forever. A coalition of the oldest spacefaring races, including many of those who would later form the Council, came together in desperation. Alone, none could stand against humanity's empire, but united, they launched a war unlike any before it. The War of the Seven Suns lasted centuries. Millions of warships clashed in battles that spanned entire star clusters. Worlds burned. Civilizations were lost. Entire species were driven to extinction. But slowly the Dominion began to fracture. Humanity was powerful, but they were outnumbered. In one final, apocalyptic strike, the coalition unleashed their most devastating weapon. With a synchronized effort spanning the known galaxy, they collapsed the hyperlane network leading to Sol. The Dominion's colonies and fleets, scattered across the stars, were cut off from one another. Earth, the cradle of humanity's power, was sealed away. The Great Erasure. With the war won, the victors faced a dilemma. They had defeated humanity's empire, but they feared what could happen if the knowledge of its existence remained. Would a future generation of humans uncover their past and rise again? Would other species see their legacy and seek to follow in their path? Would another Dominion, perhaps even more ruthless than the first, return? The answer was clear. The past had to be buried. The coalition that had fought against the Dominion transformed into the first ruling body of what would later become the Galactic Council. They systematically erased all records of the war, purging historical archives, destroying ancient battlefields, and reformatting the very fabric of the known galaxy's history. Libraries burned, data cores were rewritten, and all knowledge of the Sol Dominion was removed from galactic consciousness. What remained were fabricated histories, carefully curated to ensure that no one, not even humanity itself, would ever know what had truly happened. Humanity's descendants, those trapped within the isolated Sol system, were left to their own devices. Without access to their old hyperlanes, their colonies starved, their great cities fell into ruin, and their technology regressed. What had once been a civilization that ruled the stars became a species clawing to survive among its ruins. Millennia passed. The Council watched from a distance, ensuring that humanity never again became a threat. They thought the war was over. They thought time would bury the truth. They were wrong. The ghosts of the Dominion. History is not so easily erased. While the Council's deception was nearly perfect, remnants of the Dominion still existed. Hidden archives, long-dormant war machines, and ancient starships entombed beneath the ice of forgotten moons. Some within humanity had retained fragments of the old empire's knowledge, passing them down in secret through generations. And then there was the fleet. During the final days of the war, the Dominion's greatest minds had anticipated their downfall. They had foreseen the possibility that Earth itself would be isolated. And so, they enacted the SEAL Protocol, a final contingency plan designed not for their immediate survival but for their return. Deep space vaults were established, hidden within black holes, beneath planetary crusts, and in the ruins of their own shattered empire. These facilities contain not only ships but also weapons, technology so advanced that even the Council in all its power had no means of understanding them. These vessels slumbered for thousands of years, awaiting a single command. And then one day that command was given. The moment of reckoning. When the Galactic Council executed a human child on false charges of espionage, they thought they were sending a message. They did not expect the silence that followed. For 6 days Earth did nothing. No protests, no broadcasts, no diplomatic complaints. The Council's ruling members were puzzled, confused by humanity's lack of response. And then, on the 7th day, every comm-link across the Council's vast dominion received a single transmission. We have voted. The seal is broken. The old fleet wakes. At first, the Council dismissed it as meaningless. A bluff. A desperate attempt at defiance. Then the ships began to rise. From beneath the oceans of Earth, from the deserts of Mars, from forgotten stations orbiting dead worlds, the old fleet emerged. Dreadnoughts the size of cities, their hulls covered in inscriptions older than the Council itself. AI warlords long dormant in the void awakened, their ancient minds reconnecting to the human battle network. The first of these ships, the ISS Retribution, broke free from the Antarctic ice, its power core pulsing like a heart reborn. Across the void, hidden beacons activated, calling the scattered remnants of the Dominion back home. And as the forgotten armada burned its way across the stars, reclaiming lost colonies and strongholds, the Galactic Council watched in horror. Their ancestors had feared this moment. Now they understood why. The war begins again. The return of the Sole Dominion was not merely an act of vengeance. It was an unraveling of everything the Council had built. The carefully constructed lies, the rewritten histories, the illusion of stability, all of it was crumbling. But what the Council feared most was not the warships, nor the weapons. It was the truth. Because if humanity had been strong enough to rule the stars once before, what else had the Council hidden? What other nightmares lay buried, waiting to awaken? As the first battles erupted and entire fleets were annihilated, one thing became clear. The Dominion had returned. And this time there would be no mercy. The rise of the old fleet, a universe on the brink. The setting and prelude. Millennia ago, Earth's sole dominion was the most advanced and dominant force in the galaxy. A sprawling empire with incredible technology, including sentient AI warlords, self-repairing dreadnoughts, and world-killer weapons that could alter the fabric of space itself. However, this power came at a steep price. The sole dominion became increasingly tyrannical, driven by an obsession with absolute control, until eventually it fell, abandoned by its allies and betrayed by its own hubris. As centuries passed, the galaxy forgot humanity's origins. Earth's true name, once synonymous with power, became a mere legend, a whispered myth. The Grand Fleet, the old fleet, lay dormant, hidden beneath oceans, buried under sands, and deep within dead moons and forgotten vaults in distant corners of the galaxy. The fleet's purpose was simple, to wait for a signal. The command to rise and reclaim their birthright. And now that command had come. The awakening. The first ship to rise from its ancient slumber was the ISS Retribution, emerging from the depths of Antarctica, its hull creaking and whispering across subspace as it powered up. The ship was a marvel of engineering, built to last, built to endure. As it broke through the ice, it signaled the awakening of hundreds more ships, long buried in the vaults of forgotten space. The fleet's return sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The Galactic Council, a coalition of planets that once feared humanity's power, scrambled to understand the implications. They had forgotten Earth's true name, its true power. But they had never forgotten their ancestors' fear of humanity's vengeance. The fleet's message was clear. We are the sole dominion reborn. And we remember. The Council's response. The Galactic Council, now an alliance of planets that had built their own fragile balance of power, feared the return of the old fleet. Humanity's past conquest had left a scar on the galaxy, one that many had hoped would never be reopened. The Council's leaders knew that their ancestors had not just feared humanity's military might but something deeper, something far worse. As the fleet spread across the galaxy, it began reclaiming ancient strongholds and lost colonies. The ships, some now sentient, some augmented with terrifying new technology, were unrecognizable to those who had only heard of the Sole Dominion through legend. Internal conflict among humanity. Not all of humanity supported the reawakening of the old fleet. There were factions that believed vengeance was a cycle of endless destruction and that the mistakes of the past should never be repeated. These dissenters saw the fleet's return as a dangerous path toward totalitarianism and chaos. A faction within the Sol Dominion's former leadership, who had hidden themselves from the fleet's revival, emerged to oppose it. They argued that humanity needed to evolve beyond its imperial past and not fall into the same traps that led to their downfall. There were whispers of a mysterious force, a shadow within the Dominion, that could take control of the fleet, manipulating its mighty warships for personal gain. Meanwhile, those loyal to the fleet argued that the galaxy had forgotten its place and that humanity's rule was the only way to restore order. They believed that the galaxy had descended into anarchy, and only the strength of the Sol Dominion could restore peace. The lost superweapons. As more of the old fleet awakened, humanity began to rediscover weapons even they did not fully understand, remnants of the Dominion's past that were so powerful, they were considered beyond their creator's comprehension. One such weapon was the Nova Spire, a weapon capable of turning an entire planet into a black hole, collapsing it into an event horizon of infinite density. But what was its true purpose? Was it a tool for conquest, or was it something darker, perhaps designed to stop something even worse from being unleashed? The fleet's crews, long dormant, had forgotten much of their true capabilities. The question remained, did these weapons even belong in the hands of the old fleet's leaders, or were they too dangerous, too unpredictable? The true fear of the Council. As the fleet marched toward the heart of the galaxy, a hidden truth began to surface. The Sol Dominion had not fallen merely because of internal strife or betrayal. There was something else, something much worse, that had hunted the Dominion to the brink of extinction. It was a force that had stayed hidden in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. The Council's true fear was not simply the return of the old fleet, but the potential resurrection of whatever had once brought the Dominion to its knees. Perhaps it was not merely human greed and war that had destroyed the Empire. Perhaps there had been an outside force, an entity older than time itself, that humanity had created or discovered in their quest for absolute power. Could the old fleet withstand this new threat? Would humanity fall once again, but this time to a force beyond even their control?